They say if you're born in the ghettos, a boy, you're gonna become a gangster. The story started a long time ago. It had many names. This is my story. This is my life story. This is a true story.
Vandaag vat ek vir julle op 'n boottrip. Maar eers moet ons die reëls opstel. Niks geguara nie. Hier is ook nie bandiete of nommersie. Ons meet in die mine. En ons gaan reg deur die dak.
We were a group of friends, but then became something else, you know. And for many years, like people, they will know, they call me a gangster. You're a gangster, they knew me as a gangster. You're a bad person, you know. But I had this gift of storytelling, right? So when I went to prison, that storytelling stood me in good stead.
So he discovered his gift and then started writing about his gift. And I think that's what this film is really all about. That everyone has some sort of gift. You might not know it yet, but it's in there somewhere.
And action.
So what we've done is we've concentrated on the period of his life when he's probably about 14, based on his life story, up until when they're about 24. So we've picked a sort of 10-year period of his life to concentrate on. And it's that kind of cusp of manhood and then going into manhood in that environment in the 60s, in the Cape Coloured townships in South Africa. That's what our film is about.
All the gangs in South Africa, the gang names come from film they watched. So our gang name came from the young ones, you know, coming down the road, the young one. And somebody painted it on the wall, the young ones. Immediately you're a gang. And other people want to challenge you, you know. So we decided nobody's going to stand in the way. And we were quick, we were fast, and we were very dangerous because we clicked like a unit, you know. It's like coming at you, my bro. It's like screaming. The gallows is my destiny. You flee, my bro. This is mad people.
I first met John at Sitengi around about 2002, 2003 at the Cape Town Film Market. He told me about the film he was writing. I just thought it sounded really fascinating. 12 years later, we finally have a script. It's obviously been a lot of work to get there.
Actually, when I was 50 years old, I gave up my day job to pursue my dream. And everybody's saying, what are you, stupid or what? And I believe I'm a writer.
Alles soorte.
Die lyk nog as interessant.
Skryf jy?
So bietjie.
Gaan jy kom?
We have probably the only director who could have made this film, you know, Darren Joshua, who like grew up in the Cape Flats, who knows the life, you know. The story of the film echoes his own story.
And they sent me the script and I read it. I think I was like 15, 20 pages in and I was like, you know, I've got three close friends and there's like four of us that were always together growing up, catching on shit in the Cape Flats and stuff like that. And it's probably one of the stories I could relate to the strongest in my life of reading scripts. The Owens were jumping off the page for me. I could see their faces. I could see who they were. I could see the area that they were moving around in. What a lot of people, I think, always struggle with, especially if you haven't grown up on the flats, is dialect. I had never read a script outside some of my own that I wrote, because I write in that dialect as well. But I never read a script that absolutely got it right.
Vanaand gaat ons nommers maak. En volgens my Jiggy Jill is die Frans Eibe, 'n kandidaat vir die agga.
Tajigijela Nuatas Gams. Dilaiti. Is 'n soldaat. Plastens. Hy het hom reeds bewys as 'n Marubaan.
Laat eens horen wat die leidt te zeggen.
Ik kan stories vertellen.
I understood the world. And to put it down on pen and paper was really, it was just part of me because I understood. I could just design it because I can close my eyes and it's because I knew what it looked like. I remember at 5 years old what the gates looked like, the picket fences or the asbestos roofs. It's a lot of things that I could relate to. I had to draw inspiration from a period and a community within that period. So that was my challenges. The only real documented images and stories was District 6. So I spent quite a bit of time in the District 6 Museum and downloaded images and spoke to the curators and got to know them, and they started telling us stories.
We shot in Ocean View, which is on the other side of the mountain, but it's almost remained 60s. You know, we found houses that were built then that still had that feel. A lot of people had not changed their homes. So a lot of our set dressing, we found it in the homes, which was really fantastic. A lot of our extras had lived this life, you know. So, for example, in the jail scenes, a lot of our extras, some of them were still on parole. One of our lead actors in the jail was also still on parole.
To make this film, we had to cast not just the 4 older leads, but also their 4 younger counterparts. And we had one of the best casting directors in the country, Krista Schamberger, working on the film with us. But that was a big challenge to find the cast and to find the 4 male leads that were really going to carry the story, and then to find 4 young actors who'd never acted before, most of them, and who could, you know, be good, you know, almost carbon copies of the older boys, you know, with this sort of 10-year difference. So it was very hard to do that casting. We started last year, and it's just been a process of sort of 6, 7, 8 months to find just the right people, which I think we have.
But there was something about audition that I felt was more, I don't know, it was more spiritual almost. It is, if ever you've done an audition where you completely break down, bro, where you just show the people who you are, and I think it was important for me to show them who I was, who is Dan Jacques, who exists die bra, hoe praat hy met mense. Okay, so the first story that AB ever told was told when he was on the streets, right? So his stage was the streets. His audience was his friends, right? When he then started to develop storytelling, and when he became much better at it, he told stories in prison. And in 4 hoeken, 4 corners as it were, you know what I mean? So it was a confined space. So the prison cell became the stage. The audience became the prisoners. At that time, AB was he's so skilled in storytelling. He doesn't even have to do much gestures. He uses words.
You know, when you find a director, what's really important is that the director finds a director of photography that they can really get on with and that they understand. Zen Benzel and Darren Joshua have a kind of understanding already because they've worked on so many projects together.
We started making films when we were still studying, and then on and off worked together again. And we always knew we wanted to do narrative features together. So when Noem Scully came along, I jumped at the opportunity to pitch. He liked it, and that's how we started.
The film almost picked its own crew in a way. You know, like we just put the word out, and the people that came back to us were the right people for the jobs, because I think they identified with the story, mostly, you know, the key people.
I could probably name about 10 or 15 people on the crew and the cast where the story of the film echoes their own life. So they like really want to do it, really want to be in it.
I think they saw it as an opportunity to tell one of our own stories. You know, the artistic responsibility to the community.
You just kind of have to take a moment and step back and like look at what you're doing. Like everyone's there for a reason, and you know, it's hard to explain. It's just like such a rad feeling, like waking up and going to a job that you actually love.
Writing the story, looking back now, what's happening now, You know, I say to myself, wow, this is unbelievable. This is simply amazing. As I told you, like, the things that they are forming, I've seen it in my mind's eye. This is how it is. This is how it was.
Onze aanslag, the way we are attacking the story is one from, let's not put focus on the number gang. No, we move away from it. We put focus on the human being that has to move through these spaces, you know what I mean?
It's a heartfelt film, but it's also a truthful film. It's also a violent film, you know. So you've got to come knowing that there's some truths in this film that are going to be hard-hitting, especially for us as South Africans, because there's a lot of things we still haven't resolved.
I think anyone struggling with the environment, you know, I think that on a broad base, it's going to appeal to all of those people that feel trapped in their daily lives and have bigger dreams.
We're really not trying to be Hollywood. We know we are like, you know, Scollywood, and we just want to keep to that. And we think that is what will give it its national and international appeal.
So I would really encourage people to come and watch it with an open mind and an open heart, because I think it's going to be a very important film in this country.
I think people should go and watch it because it's different. It's definitely not something that's been seen in South Africa. I think the director did a very good job keeping the vision of the writer John and the producer David in mind. Yeah, I just think it's well executed as well, and the story is fresh. It's definitely a fresh story.
I feel like I was drawn to this movie because it is the world I come from. And I feel grateful to be given the opportunity to actually show a bit of history.
I'm really proud of all these people on the set, the crew, everybody. They are so sweet, like, you know, respect. I don't think I ever got so much respect in my life.
Thank you very much, guys. That is a wrap on Noem Story.
Young ones.
Young ones.
The
We out.
young ones, darling, we're the young ones, and the young ones shouldn't be afraid.